This is a production of PBS Charlotte.
The following episode of Charlotte Cooks is brought to you by Central Piedmont Community College and viewers like you. Thank you.
Hi there, and welcome to this episode of Charlotte Cooks. I'm Chef Pamela Roberts, and today I'm going to show you guys how to make one of my most favorite pickled dishes, and that's a pickled beet. So there's a couple things we need to address before we even get started, even thinking about dealing with beets, and that is protection. Because if you think about beets, they're pink and they're bright, and I tell you what, they get all over everything. So I'm going to use an apron. I'm going to put an apron on that's going to cover my jacket, so that all I have to do now is put on some gloves, and then we're going to get busy cooking some beets. I'm going to show you what we're going to do first. We've got to pick our beets. So you're going to go to the store, and you're going to go up to the produce counter, and you're going to start looking at beets. And your first thing you're going to notice, and I'm going to put gloves on from the very get-go because they stain everything. And if you don't like having everything stained magenta, then I would highly suggest covering yourself up or using super old clothes to do this. All right, so here we are going to be using some rosemary because we're going to roast our beets first. We're going to use rosemary, we're going to use some thyme, and I'm pulling these out so I can get down to my beets because I want to show you the beets. We have the typical red beet, okay? Red beets, as we know, are nice and red and beautiful magenta, and as you can see already on my fingers, they're starting to turn red. But when you're choosing things for the pickled beets, you want to choose beets that are smallish in size, okay? I'm going to pick a deep roasting pan. Now I'm using a nice little hotel pan. You could use any kind of dish or pan that you want that's deep enough. I'm just going to take these beets and put them in whole. I'm not going to cut the bottom. I'm not going to cut the tops. I'm not going to cut any root ends off. I'm just going to leave them whole. And the reason for that is if I were to take that beet and cut it and put it in the water, what will happen is all of that color will bleed out of the beet, and we don't want that to happen. We want them to retain the color and the juice inside until we're ready to pickle them. So I'm going to select smallish beets. When you're going to the store and you find beets, you don't want to find a big old honker beet like this and say, oh boy, I'll pickle that. Usually when you get your vegetables and they're large like these, and this is a turnip, it's white inside. This is a beet. It's magenta red inside. These are going to be tough and fibrous, okay? And you can use these for other things, like if you were going to shred them, they would be great. But for your pickled beets, you want to avoid these giant bowling ball sized pieces of vegetable. You want to pick something that is more baseball size, that can fit in the palm of your hand. Basically, what you're going to be doing is looking for the slices that are going to be fitting inside of this jar without having to cut them, okay? So, we're going to throw our beets in here. Right now, our beets are hard as rocks. They're really, really hard. So we're going to roast them. So I'm going to put them in this pan, fill them up, throw in some herbs. I'm going to put thyme, and just throw it in there. I'm going to take some rosemary, I'm going to peel it back. I could put this whole thing in there because it's just going to come out later. It's all right. And then I'm going to take a bunch of water and I'm going to cover them with water. You could take these and put them directly into the oven without any water, but you're going to find that they are going to take forever to roast. And I mean literally forever, days. I mean long time to get roasted. And the way you tell when they're done, I'll show you when I pull them out of the oven, is how you tell they're done. But you're going to take a piece of tin foil, cover it up with tin foil because you don't want this water to evaporate because this is going to be in the oven for a while. Several hours probably. 350 degrees is all you need. So here it goes, into the oven. Oh look, my beets are done. Voila. I'm going to pull them out. You're going to take your beets, you're going to pull them out of the oven, and you're going to see that the beets have all cooked. And the way to tell that they're done What you want to do is you want to take a paring knife and you want to stick it in very, very carefully and make sure that it goes through, just like you're checking a baked potato, okay? You're going to take them out of the oven, you're going to let them cool. So I'm not putting my hands in hot boiling water here. You take them out, you let them cool till you can handle them. You can put them in the refrigerator in this overnight. I'm going to dry them off. I'm going to show you how you're going to peel a beet. Now, once again, remember, whatever you use when you're doing this, you want to use something junky because you're going to see how it really stains this towel in just a minute. It's really going to be quite comical. The next thing we have to do is peel them because we want our beets to be nice and smooth and shiny for our pickled beets. Instead of using our beautiful white towels or a nice dish towel that you may have at home, grab yourself a roll of paper towels. You'll probably have to use several of them. And all you do is cradle that beet in your hand and rub. See how that skin comes off? You can take everything off of this beet just by rubbing it like this. Okay? We're going to rub it completely so that all the skin is off. Now you see this stem end? Just rub it, and there you go. You've got a peeled beet. It's much better than using a peeler because a peeler will leave cut marks on it. This will take the peel off completely. All you have to do is just rub it firmly, and it just peels that skin right off. Isn't that pretty? It's amazing how that works, isn't it? Hold on, let me get another paper towel. This is not a non-messy job, so if you like to make messes, you're going to love this one because it really makes a nice big mess. You want to see what a yellow beet looks like? Because you can use the yellow beets for this too. I think the yellow beets are gorgeous. And I think the combination of the two, they taste just like the red beets, they just have a yellow color to them. But at the same time, when you're dealing with the yellow beets versus the red beets, you have to realize that there is that nutritional component in these dark blue, red vegetables, like blueberries and things like blackberries and things like that. They have a tremendous amount of nutritional value. And these yellow ones don't have that same compound, but they still have the same nutritional value in other ways because they are still beets, they're just yellow. You can see how brightly yellow they are here. And just peel it off the same way you do the red beets. You don't have to worry about staining so much on the yellow ones as you do with the red ones. And if the skin gets a little stubborn, you just keep peeling it off. So now we're going to get ready to make our pickled beets. We've got our beets cooked, we've got them peeled, and we're going to have them all sitting here waiting for us to make them into a delicious pickled dish. So in order to do this, we're going to have to make a brine. So what we're going to use for our brine, we're going to use some apple cider vinegar. I'm going to pour that into a pan. Let me go ahead and pull this over here so you can see what I'm doing. Apple cider vinegar, and we're going to add some white vinegar. It just helps cut the acidity of the apple cider vinegar a little bit. We're going to use some sugar. We're going to use some salt. You're going to put all these things together and you're going to bring it to a boil. Now, it's really important that you have this boiling when you are ready to put your beets together in the jar because you want to pour that hot brine over the beets. What you want to do is make sure you give it a stir, make sure you get all that salt and sugar mixed in with the vinegar, and just going to put it on there, bring it to a boil while you get your jars ready. What you want to find are wide mouth canning jars. You can get them tall and thin, you can get them tall and fat. Basically these are quart jars, this is a 1.5 pint jar. Depending on how many you're making, you're going to take some sliced red onions. You can take your red onions and slice them up. Sometimes you want to dice them up, but I actually like the onions in pickled beets. They're like pickled onions and they're delicious. So I like to have them in big chunks so I can actually see them and pick them out. And the very bottom of the jar, you're going to add a few slices of your onion. And the reason for that is because when the beets get sliced, they're really flat, and if the beets fall down to the bottom of the jar, there's a good chance it's going to stick to the bottom of the jar, and you're not going to be able to get any brine underneath that beet. So you want to make sure you have something on the bottom that's going to prevent those beets from actually sticking on the bottom. So now we're going to take our beets that we peeled, and they're beautifully peeled, and they're beautiful beets. Oh my gosh. And notice, guys, I didn't take these and rinse them off under water. I didn't, because you just took the peel off with a paper towel. There should be no reason to rinse them, okay? So I'm going to take them, I'm going to slice them this way. Slice. And the slices you make are only about 1/8 of an inch thick. You don't want them to be super thin, because if they're super thin, you're not going to really be able to handle them very well. Look at how gorgeous that is. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, I love beets. They're just beautiful. And so you're going to randomly drop them in there, and you're going to put some onions in between each layer, so you can see this, in between each layer so that the beets don't stick together, okay? And if you notice that when I chop them, or slice them, I should say, what I'm doing is I'm holding them together, and then I'm randomly changing up the order in which they came off of the beets so that they don't actually fall back together in their sliced pattern, so that they can actually sit apart from each other within the jar. Does that make sense? I hope so. I hope so. Basically, what you're trying to prevent happening is take a slice of beet, and you don't want these things to go back in the jar and reattach, okay? You want them to be so that they're not going to reattach to each other, okay? So after you get your jar full, top it off with a couple of onions. I think we could fit another slice in here. Wonk. Get that in there. All right, our brine is boiling now, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to get our brine. Make sure, guys, you're aware of what you're touching when you're dealing with beets. You can see you could possibly get magenta pink everywhere. All right, we're going to pick this up. The handle's hot, so use a towel. Turn your burner off. Grab a funnel. Stick that funnel down in that jar, and you're going to pour this brine in here till it fills up the jar. Just wait a couple seconds, let all the air bubbles come out. There's going to be, you see the air bubbles releasing here. Can you see all that coming through? I'm going to get all those air bubbles out. Give it a little couple of pounds and fill it up all the way to the tippy top. And then be careful what you're working with, because you know you're going to have a mess. So from here, I'm going to take a canning lid. Now you can go and you can buy the 2-piece canning lids. I highly suggest when you're doing this, go buy fresh bands and fresh lids if you're using old jars. Now your jars you can buy, or you may even have some around, but use a fresh lid for this, okay? You want to give your rim a little wipe with a nice clean towel. Take your lid and put it on there. And you're going to get some stuff coming out, whooshing out, but this is going to ensure that you have vinegar all the way to the top, and this is going to not have any air bubbles in it. You can turn it over, make sure that the brine gets all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom. You could see all that wonderful beet juice coming out of there already. Let's do a yellow beet, show you what the yellow beets look like. I've got a jar here with already some onions in the bottom. I'm going to take a yellow beet and I'm going to slice it. Look at that. Oh, it's so pretty. It's so lovely. Look at that. Oh boy. Look at that. Look at that. Can you get excited about vegetables or what? I can get excited about vegetables. Anyway, here we go. Yellow beets. They taste the same. They have a different look, but they do taste the same. One may have a preference over another. And I'm going to do this one also. Make sure I get this little piece of skin off. And once again, drop them in. Drop them in, drop them in, drop them in. A little bit of onion and our last beet. Now, I want to show you something. I've got some done from before, but I want to show you what happens when you use the red onions in this. Is the red onions, you could use, if you didn't want this color to happen, I like the color to happen because I just like pinky colors anyway, okay? So we are going to be adding our red onion because, and that's all the beets I have prepared right now. So if your jars aren't completely full, that's all right. We're going to use the same brine. Funnel again. And the funnel, folks, is just to make sure that you're getting it in there down instead of just trying to pour it over the top of the beets. You could just pour it over here if you wanted. But when you have that one beet slice at the top like we did before, getting the funnel in there, it helps that brine get past that top beet. Fill it all the way up to the top. Once again, we're going to grab another can lid. You can buy just the lids. You can buy the rings and the lids together. Usually when you buy the jars, they come with the lids on them too. But if you're using old jars from family heirlooms or whatever, then you want to go ahead and get some fresh lids. Okay, turn it up and down, make sure that we got all the air bubbles out, and we're going to set him aside. I'm going to let that cool. Now you're going to let these cool at room temperature until they get to room temperature, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take them and put them in the refrigerator. If you want to process these in a canner, you can. I'm not going to show you how to can on this show, but you certainly could process these in a canner. You have to remember that these would be considered a low acid, so if you are doing this in a home canning process, please be advised you're using a low acid technique, okay? Here's what the beets look like when they're done. We have these yellow beets and we have the red beets. Now what I wanted to show you was the red onion had imparted a light, very pale rosy hue to the beet, and I think it's beautiful. I just think it's gorgeous. These have been processed already for a couple of days, so we're going to pull these out, but before we do this, I'm going to show you one other absolutely irresistible little pickle that when you do this thing, most of the time people have no idea what they're eating. We're going to make it out of a turnip. We're going to make us some pickled turnips. What we are going to do is going to grab a jar, and I'm going to use a small jar for this because I'm just going to make a small jar of these. You're going to take some of your julienne turnips. You're going to peel your turnip, and what's inside is nice and white. You're going to julienne this. Now julienne, this is a beautiful julienne, nice square on the end, nice long, about 2 to 3 inches in length. Okay, these are beautiful. And we're going to stack these into the jar. And now here's one of our secrets that we put into these. This all ties into the beet show because we're going to put some beets in here. Let's take a couple of slices of red beet and drop it in there. Now the next surprise we put in there, which is absolutely yummy, 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 delicious, garlic. Garlic, we like garlic. Okay, put that aside. We're going to take some garlic, and here we're going to take some thin slices of garlic. Okay, slice them with your knife. Drop these in here. And you know what, guys? This is the one time I don't mind biting into a piece of raw garlic. Once you have this, it's going to blow your mind how wonderful this is. Okay, not too much, not even a whole clove, okay? We're going to fill this jar up the rest of the way. So what we are going to use for our brine, for our pickled turnips, is we are going to use some white wine vinegar, put it in a pot. We're going to use some water, a bay leaf, and some sugar, and some salt. Add it in here. Mix it all up together, bring that to a boil. Okay, put that back here. Bring it to a boil. And I've already got this already done and already boiled over here, so we can go quickly. Make sure it comes up to a boil. You want to make sure that your beets get distributed throughout the whole jar. The pickled beets will last you for quite a while. You put them in the fridge, they'll last you months and months and months as long as you keep them in the refrigerator. If you don't keep them in the refrigerator, you have to make sure that you either eat them all right away or you follow a proper canning process to preserve them. And just because they're pickled doesn't mean they can hang out on the countertop without any kind of problems. There will be problems. So you keep them under refrigeration or properly process them in a canner. As soon as this brine comes to boil, we pour this over there just like we did with the beets. Get that in there and get it ready to go. And what does this look like? Look at this. Look at how bright. The beet turns the liquid all bright pink. And as this ages, the turnips absorb all that bright pink and they turn out really, really, really bright magenta color. We just did this one this morning, and it's going to be a little on the pale side, but I could show you how they absorb the color. You could see a little bit already how they're changing, and if I leave this in here overnight, which is the proper fermentation time for this, then they're going to be as bright as the beets. And the beets and the turnips actually turn out to be about the same color because the color will come out of the beet and the turnip will absorb it, and you're not going to be able to tell the difference between the two, whether you're eating a beet or whether you're eating a turnip, which is really kind of cool. So, with that being said, we're going to put that over there and let that wait. My brine is boiling. I'm ready to go. I'm going to pour this brine Now this brine is a lot clearer than the other because we used white vinegar. We didn't use the apple cider vinegar. Pour that up to the top. You're going to put your lid on here, and this is all going to go down. You're going to shake this up just a little bit just to make sure you got it all mixed up. And right away, you're going to see the beet juice coming out of there and starting to change the color of those turnips. Let this sit overnight, and boy, oh boy, do you have yourselves a treat. You take these out and you put them on a cocktail table when people are coming over for a drink or a party or something. Put them in a pretty little dish, and people, oh, what are they? Because they're so pretty and pink, people will take them and eat them, and they'll go, what am I eating? And then you tell them a turnip, they go, oh, I don't like turnips. Then they'll find them eating the whole entire jar. It's really kind of funny. So I want to show you what my beets look like now that they have cooled. I want to get them out of the jar and show you what they look like. I'm going to open up the yellow ones first. Look at these, folks. See that the onions themselves have actually taken on some of the yellow color from the beet. In the same time, they have taken some of the pink out of the onion and put it into the brine, so it's just really, really, really very pretty. Now look at what happened to this beet here, guys. See how this one got a little bit of a pressure break here in the center of it? See how that's happening there? That happened because it was standing up, and when I put the lid on it, it crushed it a little bit. So when you're adding your beets, you want to make sure that they're laying nice and flat so you don't have that kind of a breakage happening. All right, there we go. This is what our yellow pickled beets look like. Aren't they pretty? I love them. They're gorgeous. There we are. Put a couple of these onions on top so you can see that the onions are there too. These are wonderful with a cheese platter, guys. If you're wondering, what am I going to use these with? You could put them on a cheese platter, and people will be like thinking you have the best cheese platter on the planet. All right, here's some of our yellow pickled beets right there. Now let's put some of our red pickled beets out. This is the star of the show because it's so dramatic. Here we go. Some of our red beets. There we are. Some more red beets. Ah, look at this gorgeous color. Look at this color. That's our onion, folks. Isn't that? I mean, how could you dice this up into little bitty pieces saying, oh, the onion's not important? It is important because as if you like onions and stuff like that, oh, golly. Wait till you try these. Pickled onions, pickled beets. Yum, 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 yum. I feel like I'm getting the beets all over the place here, but that's part of pickled beets. You can put these on a salad. You can use these as a side dish. You can eat them on their own. You can put them on a cheese platter. But beets are nutritious. They carry a lot of fiber and nutrients. They're very good for you. And if you don't like beets because they have an earthy flavor to them, try them pickled because I think you might change your mind. The pickled part really brings out a sweetness of the beet, and it really is very, 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 very pleasant. So here we have a nice bowl of our red pickled beets. Aren't they gorgeous? And I think what I might do is show you what our pale pink turnips look like. I'll put some of these out so you could see what these look like too. These are just going to be nice pale. I'm going to put these next to the yellow ones so you could see. Just put a couple of these out. Oh, yum, yum, yum. So you could see how pale they get. But they get really bright, just like the beets. Okay? So can you do this with instead of doing the red beet in this, could you put the yellow beet in there? You could, but they're not going to be as dramatic as they are when you use the red beet for the bright magenta color that comes out of there. Thank you for watching this episode of Charlotte Cooks. You can catch our recipes on our website at pbscharlotte.org. You can also send me an email at Pamela, P-A-M-E-L-A, .Roberts, R-O-B-E-R-T-S, at cpcc.edu. I'd love to hear from you. And thank you for watching this episode, and I'll catch you next time on Charlotte Cooks. Thanks for watching.
production of PBS Charlotte.